Okay. Alrighty, welcome to AZ 2006-3. We are finishing up here lesson 1 of Science of Flight. Let's see, we're on page 226. Today is hoop coming day. We have an assembly being practiced right behind me, so when it's real loud, it's not my fault. I'm trying the best I can, and that's why I have my teacher shirt on here versus my colonel shirt. All right, 224, Science of Flight. Let's see, one thing that we have to learn is the word hypoxia. Okay, level, what's hypoxia mean?
It's like when you have too low oxygen.
Low oxygen. How can you have low oxygen? How? Give me an example. When can you have low oxygen? Yes, sir.
Too high up in the altitude, and you don't have any like safety stuff on it.
Exactly. You're flying high. Can we walk high and be hypoxic?
Yes.
When?
You're high.
The mountains. Yeah, right here in Arizona, right? 14,000 feet. I told you I've seen people hypoxic. And also I showed you the picture of the Matterhorn, which is a higher mountain in Europe, and I've been hypoxic there. Yes. So you can be hypoxic. We talk on actually page 225, and I'll turn this on here, about a phenomenon called tunnel vision. What is tunnel vision? What is tunnel vision? What does that mean?
It's a side effect of hypoxia.
Yes, and what does it mean though?
A condition in which the edges of your sight gray out to a point where you only have a narrow field of vision straight ahead.
That's kind of crazy, isn't it? So everybody close your eyes, okay, and then open them. So that's what we're used to with going to black out. But in tunnel vision with hypoxia or pulling G's, which we'll talk about later on, which I love the concept of pulling G's, being in the fighter world. So take your hands, you're right, Cadet Hawk. All right, take your hands, and now move them from the outside in. And that's kind of a weird feeling, isn't it? Until really, does anybody know what a soda straw is, this big? Do you know how small a soda straw is? Yeah. Yes. Imagine not being able to see anything but a soda straw. And that is how bad I have gotten before. And actually, technically, I have done it such that the soda straw went away and it was just black, and I was alive and I was conscious, but I was right at the precipice of being passed out. Yes, and I was dumb. I was dumb and young. Yes.
It's kind of like when you stand up really fast, and then like you kind of go like lightheaded, and then everything narrows down.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. That can happen. You're exactly right. And has anybody, and we talked about fainting, has anybody ever stood up and fainted like because they were standing up too long at a funeral, a wedding, or drill match or something like that? Yeah, formation. Yeah, I'm serious. As when you guys are freshmen coming, please don't talk. A lot of times you'll pass out because you lock your legs, okay? And we've had that happen a half dozen times, once a year for us. But tunnel vision is when you start to lose your interocular pressure of your head. You have less oxygen. Your brain needs oxygen to work. And oh, by the way, your eyes lose their function, and you start to lose your peripheral vision. And so think about it. How can you fly jets when you can't see? It's tough. And it's also a preface, to actual passing out. If you look up here on the overhead, I have a display there. It's the bottom of page 225 for you guys. It talks about at altitude, what is your time of useful consciousness? And that is not very much. Think about, we talked about hiking up to, climbing the highest mountain. Mount Everest. How high is Mount Everest?
29,000.
29,000. So look on that chart there at 30,000. What is your time of useful consciousness?
1 to 2 minutes.
How long does it take to climb to the top of Mount Everest? Longer than 2 minutes. So can you imagine doing that when you know that if you were out of a plane at 30,000 feet, you got a minute or so to, when I mean useful consciousness, I mean you sort of end up like those pictures, the videos that we saw where people are just I did it. I didn't even know my name. I couldn't tell your name. You were sort of hanging out, but you're passing out, essentially, very slowly. So it is pretty amazing that people have climbed to the top of Mount Everest, almost 30,000 feet without oxygen. That's pretty incredible. You look over here, 40, 45,000. If you're at 40,000 feet, which is not an unusual height to be flying in a plane, a fighter jet, and you have a rapid decompression, how long do you have to get below 18,000 feet?
9.
I mean quick. I mean like 10 seconds you got to be below 18,000 feet or else you pass out. That's kind of a bad day. It's never happened to me, but it has happened to friends of mine. And so when that happens, if you're at 40,000 feet and all of a sudden there's decompression, you're disoriented and you just immediately pull down, straight down, and get below 18,000 feet as quick as possible. And you pray that you make it before you pass out. That's kind of the hazards of flying.
Do they have an automatic thing, like if you pass out, you eject you?
No, you don't get ejected. You do have a supplemental bottle of oxygen, and so hopefully in your last time of useful consciousness, you can go 100% oxygen. And actually, it's real easy to do. You sort of shove your hand forward and it clicks over into 100% oxygen and get all this oxygen blown in your mask. Hopefully, and that helps. But it doesn't last long, and you got to get below 18,000 feet. Okay? Another hazard of flying, and really this is actually something probably you guys have seen yourself, is a word called hyperventilation. What does that mean?
Breathe really, really fast.
Has that ever happened to anybody here? When does that happen to you?
I'm scared.
When you're nervous or scared, you better believe it. Has anybody ever hyperventilated? Yes, ma'am. Tell me about, do you mind telling us about it?
That was the first time I went on a plane when I was like 6.
Okay, that's a perfect example. You go on a plane when you're 6 years old and you're scared, right? And you start, is hyperventilation, what happens?
Hold on a second.
You get too much air or not enough air?
No.
Why?
Increase in the volume of air breathed in and out.
Are you like breathing it out too fast before your lungs get?
It does. Read it. An abnormal increase in the volume of air in and out of the lungs. It's ending up with or without oxygen. You're sort of panicking and you're going too fast. How do they say slowing? How did you slow down your breathing?
They had to give me a bag and I had to breathe into it and they took really slow breaths and then they make you have to sit up straight, and if you slouch over, they have to hold you up so you can get more.
So you really remember this?
My dad.
Your dad videotaped. That's pretty hilarious, actually. That's something I would do. My dad.
Into the bag, whatever.
Well, the bag slows down your breathing because I'm telling you, you get hyperventilated. I'm trying to think in the 8 years. One time I was down in Phoenix with cadets, and we were at a big convention of Tuskegee Airmen, actually. I actually met Tuskegee Airmen. And I'm in a big room with 500 people. And I didn't know it, but one of my cadets had a predisposition to anxiety around a lot of people.
That's
And so why in the world they went with us, I don't know. But parents will let their kids go do anything. And so they showed up, and all of a sudden I noticed her, acting nervous, looking around, everything else. And then all of a sudden, before I knew it, she was... it's sort of like a dog panting, really. It's kind of weird. And then what happened to her?
She passed out.
Whack! She was on the ground and had an anxiety attack, hyperventilated, and passed herself out. And she is on the ground, and I'm going, this is not a good day for a teacher. And so I had to get an emergency response to her. We called 911. We brought in the ambulances. I didn't know what was wrong with her, obviously, if it's just hyperventilating and passing out, which we have had out on the drill pad or whatever. It is not a big deal, but it was scary for me because I'd never seen that out. And actually, they talk about there at the bottom of page 226 about breathing in and out of the bag is a way to get around it. Okay, so we're talking about, again, different types of problems you may have flying. One very, very important one is trapped gas, First of all, what is a eustachian tube?
Yay.
What is a eustachian tube? Cadet Buell? Top of page 227. Eustachian tube.
It's a. Just read the definition. A tube leading from inside each ear in the back of the ear.
Excellent. If you look up here on the overhead, I've got a picture of a eustachian tube. And this is inside of everybody's ear. Times 2, I hope. Okay? And you can see the outside of the ear over here. This is your ear, your external ear coming to your eardrum. Your eardrum is a solid membrane. Okay? So, if you have differential in pressure between your external ear, like where you stick your finger, and your internal ear, which is inside your head, if it's a different pressure, then you feel pressure on your ears. Gee, this afternoon my daughter plays basketball down in Phoenix. I'm going from 6,000 feet to about 1,000 feet, 1,300 feet. Has anybody ever popped their ears?
Yes, sir.
Close your mouth, close your nose, and blow. Do it. Do it. You'll feel your eardrum blowing up. You're artificially increasing pressure on the inside because you're blowing and your eardrum is going out.
That hurt.
Okay, so therefore you think about high pressure here, low pressure here. Yes, Cody.
Another way you can do the pressure thing is going to the Y and
Diving down.
going into the.
Okay, so let's go in that we're diving down. You're going to have high pressure here, low pressure here, and you need to equalize it by doing, it's called the Valsalva maneuver, well, what you just did. Or if you move your jaws, that can do it. Or straighten out your eustachian tube. You do like this and blow, that really will help you.
Or if you yawn, man.
Or if you yawn, yeah, sure. All those things help straighten out the eustachian tube and equalize pressure. Has anybody ever had to do this going from Phoenix driving up to Prescott? I'm telling you, it happens all the time. Yes, ma'am. Please don't chew gum in my class, okay? Yes, ma'am. What now?
I was just raising my hand because Phoenix, going Phoenix between Prescott.
So it does bother your ears. Everybody is very sensitive. Guess what? If your eustachian tube is very small, you might be sensitive. My ears are pretty much the same. I have somebody in my family, though, whose one ear always gets stuck up. And I bet it's just because the eustachian tube is designed differently in that person. What about if you're sick?
That is.
Oh.
That's not good. That's not good for the home team.
No, sir.
We're going to get around to this. I'll come back to this. I guess let's do it now. This is a Friday, right? Okay, first of all, so I'm talking about equalization of pressure right now. But eventually in this book, we talk about getting disoriented. What do these little semicircular canals do for you?
Vibrations.
Vibrations, yes, but what else do they do for you? There's 3 of them, okay? And there are 3 different axes or orientations. So what might that help you do when you stand up? Balance. Knowing which way is going up. So everybody stand up. Everybody stand up. I'll actually videotape this so you guys can look like very intelligent teenagers on my videotape, okay? Okay. All right. So now when we're standing up, you have the 3 semicircular canals in your head, and they're aligned, they're balanced, just like Cadet Hoffman said. Well, what I'm going to ask you to do, this will be fun. All right, what I'm going to ask you to do is start turning in a circle. Okay, hold on, let me tell you. You turn in a circle very slowly, and you're going to do about 10 circles very slowly. I don't want you to fall over, but then when I say 3, 2, 1, now, you're going to dip your head. And what's going to happen is when you're turning around in a circle very slowly, your semicircular canals will think that's normal. But then when you dip your head, you're going to get disoriented, spatially disoriented, just like a pilot. So everybody close their eyes, slowly go around. I'm going to count. Let's see, that's 1 time for me. Just slowly go around. Same way, same day. That's about 2 times for me. Just very slow. I don't want you to fall over. You don't need to hurt yourself. It's about 3 times for me. Okay, and I'm feeling like this is normal flying, right? You're normally flying, your ears are getting adjusted. There's about 4 times for me. Okay, slowly. All right, there's about 5 times for me. Actually, well, you know what? We'll do it around 7. And I'll tell you, everybody's eyes are closed. And that's about 6 times for me. Okay, and then here we go. We're just feeling like this is normal flying. Okay, there's 7 times for me now. Dip your head, go down. Go down, all right. Great job. Y'all feel that sensation of disorientation. And you start to fall. Great job. Everybody sit down.
Is there anything like way too fast at first, and then time around?
Oh,
About 2,
oh my
and I'm like,
It was like the 6 color mat.
and then it like really just
It started getting like really white.
All righty. How did we feel? Did anybody feel the disorientation?
It started getting really white.
It started to get white. My goodness, he's going to pass out on me.
Shame, I just lost my balance.
Well, that is spatial disorientation, and you did that right here doing it. What happens with these inner ear and the semicircular canals is the inside of these 3 semicircular canals, they have little cilia, little small, dinky, small little hairs, and they keep you balanced. And if you're in a angle, or if you're doing a circle like you did, those hairs will get aligned, and they'll think that's absolutely normal. And then something unusual happens, like a different axis, and you'll just get disoriented. Imagine trying to fly a plane or run a car when you're continually disoriented. And it's a lot of fun. We'll get to that.
That's why drunk driving's illegal.
That's why drunk driving's illegal. That's probably true. All right, so when I say to you guys, how many holes in the head do you have?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
How many holes in your head? When you go, you got a hole in your head. Well, you know what? I got lots of holes in my head.
7.
How many holes? You never think about your sinuses, guys, being holes in your head. But we have time, and this is a Friday. I'll tell you a war story that has to do with trapped gas. And you can actually look on page 228. It's the same type of picture here on this. But here I was flying jets as a new, young, dumb 24-year-old. And I was flying jets, and I was trying to figure out how to do all this stuff. And you know what? I could clear my ears. You go like this, so I can fly. It's not going to have a problem, right? I'm not going to blow an eardrum. I've had friends blow eardrums because they were flying when they shouldn't have. But you know what? Have you ever had woke up in the morning, kind of have a drip, a sinus drip on the back of your throat? But yet, you can drive down to Phoenix, you can clear your ears, it's not a big deal. Just a sinus drip, right? I did not know, but, let's see, my left side, right here, I had an infection overnight. It was cold. I lived in Columbus, Mississippi. It was snowing, actually. It was during the winter. And I actually had this sinus was, I had a cold. But it didn't I didn't feel bad. I just had a sinus drip. And so I went flying. And when you fly and you ascend, is the pressure lower or higher at altitude?
Lower.
Lower at altitude. So I am lower, and I'm clearing my ears when I'm flying. It was unpressurized plane, a T-37 actually. I'll show you what T-37 is, so we can learn that. That was called that was our trainer back in the day, about 1 million years ago when I was young. So it's called a tweet. Oh my gosh, this is it. All right, so I was in this tweet flying. You flow side by side. And then all of a sudden we came back, and the greatest pressure differential for around the Earth is 0 to 5,000 feet. And that's why when we go down to Phoenix, I'm doing this afternoon, every time I go down to Phoenix, I got to clear my nose. Every time we come up, I got to clear my nose. I got to worry about, I told you guys about the toothpaste container, right? You put closed toothpaste in Phoenix, you come up here, it blows up. Because the greatest pressure differential is 0 to 5,000 feet. Yes, sir.
I've been from Prescott to Phoenix so many times, the pressure difference doesn't even affect me.
Well, that's good. You'll be easy to fly, or you're doing it without a cold. I was flying this plane with a cold, and guess what? I came over the base at 5,000 feet and was supposed to do a spiral down to land. And when I started to spiral down to land, all of a sudden, I felt like there was a toothpick going right through my sinus. And my left eye immediately started to cry so much that I was blind. It was so much pain. It was the worst pain to this day I have ever felt in my life because I was going from low pressure to high pressure, and this sinus was blowing up inside my head.
Ow.
So, and when you say ow, I mean it was worse than that. And it was a bad day for me.
Worse than being
It was a bad day for me. So what do?
Cry.
Cry. I was crying uncontrollably. I was flying this plane, but fortunately, I was a new, dumb, young pilot, and I was flying with an instructor pilot. That's why they're there. And so it came down, it was an ice pick came here. My eyes started running because there was so much pain. And I said, you have the plane. Because, I mean, he's an instructor. And I said, I have a sinus block. Please climb back up. And he flew up back, he went down to like 2,000 feet. I had the sinus block. He flew back up to like 6,000 feet. What would happen to your sinus block?
Leave it.
It goes away because it relieves it. The pressure goes down. But then I'm stuck up there at 6,000 feet. I can't get down. So what do?
Blow your nose.
Blow your nose, yes. You Valsalva. But guess what? What is that doing? That's relieving the ear pressure. This is the problem. It's getting ready to blow up. And when your sinuses blow up, the inside membranes detach from the bone. It's a bad scene. Blood, yeah. So what happened exactly, though, was this instructor was smart. He knew he's dealing with a lot of young guys flying that may not be experienced. And he had a little medicine called Afrin. And it's not illegal, but it's a super duper medicine that you put up your noses, and guess what it does? Ding, 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 ding. It clears out the sinuses, and everything's clear as a bell. And he said, I'm going to slowly descend, because I had done a teardrop, which is kind of, a violent one. And he slowly descend, and you say, hey, you push, because even when you're pushing like this, believe it or not, you are filling up every one of these sinuses. And you came down, and I was able to come down and land. Yes, sir.
I know a homemade remedy on how to get rid of a sinus infection if you aren't blind.
How?
Salt water.
Salt water is, yeah. I have used that. You're exactly right. I have absolutely used that. And so here is the rest of the story, was because I was young and because I was not experienced enough to do it, I flew with an infected sinus and didn't know about it. And I had my sinus, it was not blown out, it did not bleed uncontrollably like I've heard. But here's the problem. I am 54 years old, and that happened when I was 24, 30 years. Still to this day, guess what? When the pressure differential comes up, when I climbed Humphrey Peak, I could feel pressure here. I feel the damage still is there. 30 years later, because of how I was doing it. Yeah, I still was able to have a flying career, but I'm very sensitive. So guess what? If you ever want to go flying and you have a cold and you go, oh, but I can clear my ears, but you're coughing down stuff, it's coming from these other holes in your head that you don't even realize you have. Yes, ma'am. Great. So that was my trapped gas. One other thing, trapped gas. Where else is there trapped gas in your body? In your stomach. I have been, all right, so now, fast forward another 10 years, and I am the instructor, and I have brand new people who are 22 and 24, and actually, one was a guy, and one was a girl, who were my students, and they were not thinking. And they were flying with me, and they were embarrassed, and all of a sudden they had to pass gas flatulate, if you know what that means, and they had to pass gas by burping at the other end, and they wouldn't do it because they were embarrassed, and it smelled bad. And guess what happened to them? They didn't die. They didn't die, but they about blew up. And so there's another thing that you don't think about in Hollywood when you're flying planes and you're flying jets and doing all this neat stuff. Guess what the pilots should be doing all the time? Passing gas, yes, out of their mouth or other places. All right, and we will stop on that happy note right now. All right, see you guys Monday. Tuesday, yes.
Tuesday.
Not Monday. We will see you guys Tuesday.